Today I'll be attending my first ever Vipassana meditation retreat. I'm very excited. I thought I'd make this video to share my experience with you and share with you the insights that arise from this beautiful experience that I'm going to be having over the next 10 days. Very fortunate enough to be able to go on a trip like this. I've been wanting to do it for quite a while, however, just never really got to it. But this time I felt called to do, sort of going away for a few days and just being in that sort of inner contemplation, away just dropping every personal aspect of life and simply focusing on the practice. So I haven't done a retreat since 2019. That was my first ever retreat. I went to Los Angeles at the Self-Realization Fellowship for a few days, but that wasn't nearly as strict as this. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm actually taking my mother with me. When she found out that I'm doing this meditation retreat, she was very excited and she wanted to do it as well. So I'm actually on the way to pick her up right now. Funny enough, this is sort of like a Mother's Day trip. Mother's Day is coming up on May 8th. During that time, we'll be at the retreat. Of course, we can't see each other or speak to each other during that time, during the retreat, but I'm happy that we're getting a chance to go away on a trip like this. She's been into meditation for quite a while as well, so I'm excited for her. I think this is going to be great for her. And so the later half of this video will be us sharing our experience. I'll share with you all the insights that arose and if I recommend for you to go on a trip like this as well. We just arrived at the center. We're sort of in the middle of the forest. This is my mom. Ready?
Hi.
Ready?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, very excited.
Nervous?
No.
आप इससे क्या पाना चाहते हो? बताओ.
Everything. Inner growth. I need inner growth. More.
Good.
Yes.
So we are about to go inside and then I will cut to after we get out. See you there. Just like that, our 10 days are over. It was a beautiful experience. आपको कैसा लगा, Mom?
Amazing experience.
Yeah, we learned a lot.
Wow,
I'm excited to share my insights with you. So we're going to drive home and then let's get started. All right, so I have returned home finally, and I've actually allowed a few days to pass to really just integrate all the insights. And so I've been catching up on just regular day-to-day life. Thought I'd make the video today to share with you my insights and what I learned from this retreat. So we'll begin with those. And then towards the end, I'll also just share general details about the retreat. If this is something that you find yourself interested in, I'll show you where to go to find one near you, wherever you are in the world, and apply. So let's start off fairly simple, and then we'll move on to the subtler realizations. Firstly, is something actually that has been developing for me ever since I began meditation. When we are very new to meditation, we're still relying on our mental intelligence, what our mind considers to be practical and right, in order to navigate life. However, with meditation, and especially when you're meditating for a really focused period like this for 10 days, you gain a whole different and deeper understanding of natural law. You become aligned with natural law. And the aspect of it that I wish to discuss right now is you will not harm others. You will understand that harming others actually is a harm to one's own self. Whenever you generate negativity within you, and whenever you express that negativity onto others, whenever you try to target others, it doesn't have to be just people, any being or any structure, anything that exists. Whenever you channel this negativity outward, you not only pollute the environment around you, of course, but actually you pollute your own self. You start to succumb more and more into your lower nature, which is the very bondage that you find yourself suffering. So, for example, of course, the cause of your anger always seems to be outside. This person or this situation is making me angry. When in the path of meditation or self-observation, you are asked not to look at the object of your anger, but rather the anger itself. You're invited to start to observe that the external has so much control over your own state of being. This is bondage. As long as externals can control you, can manipulate you, can alter your state of being, you are going to suffer. You're going to cling to the highs and you're going to suffer the lows. So in a period of meditation like this becomes more and more clearer than ever, that anytime you generate negativity within yourself, you are going to be the sufferer of that negativity. No matter how many others you expound this suffering onto, this negativity onto, that actually will only further your suffering. So with this understanding, when you really start to see this in your direct experience, and that's the difference that I'd like to expand on, everybody knows this mentally. Everybody knows, I don't want to feel bad and I don't want others to feel bad. Even a very bad person would say, they don't want others to feel bad. They don't want to make others feel bad. But we do, because it is not our direct experience, this understanding. It is not in our direct experience that if I harm others, I harm myself. When I generate negativity within myself and express that, I pollute everything and everyone, including myself. If this starts to become your experience, you will naturally no longer engage in those thoughts, in that speech, and in that action that pollutes the entire world. So this is what meditation does so beautifully. It walks you into those insights. The second insight that I wish to share with you, and the advice, is to acknowledge how the mind is always in a state of craving or resistance. We're going to talk about this more deeply in a later insight. However, over here, I want you to acknowledge that when you are practicing meditation and you come to a place of total stillness, there is still a wanting of something to happen. You say, okay, I've gotten it. I'm totally still. Now that something needs to happen, right? I want to realize something. I want to acknowledge something. I want a blissful experience, or I want a powerful feeling, or a vision, or whatever it may be. You'll notice that even if you have been going through these teachings for many years and meditating for many years, and you know not to expect anything from meditation, still you'll find yourself in the depth of stillness, of silence, and there is a slight hint of craving, of either holding on to that pleasant, no thought state, or a wanting of something to happen. So this was quite interesting to observe during this period. Even when you go on a retreat like this, already there's an expectation tied to this, right? You want something to happen, or you want to realize something. However, that's not necessarily the purpose of a retreat. The purpose of the retreat is not to give you a mind-blowing experience that you can sort of hold dear to your heart, that will just fully liberate you. It's only to deepen your insights. It's to teach you how to really practice correctly in a focused manner, and how to continue this when you're no longer at the retreat. Only then will the retreat ever be successful. So during the period of an ardent period of meditation like this, you begin to start noticing how in the depths of meditation, there's still a hint of craving. And actually that hint of craving for something to happen is the very obstacle to you going deeper into meditation, to you beginning to understand natural law, to you sinking into wisdom, understanding. So this would be my advice to you. This is something that I also observed during those days that I was at the meditation retreat. Notice when you are deep in meditation and there's something looking for something to happen, to feel something, to realize something. Acknowledge that and let it go. Be truly in a state of no expectation, no desire, no concern, no wanting. Be free from even spiritual seeking. Simply be. That is the best approach to meditation. The third insight. And for this insight, I hope to not just tell you about it. I want to here and now walk you into that experience so that you really understand it. When you shut off the 5 senses and you shut off the thinking, and we're going to do that in just a moment right now, I'll show you how, then all that remains is manifest reality as it is. Not as you think it to be, not as you believe it to be, not as your idea of it, of you, of the world. Simply manifest reality as it is. Impersonal contents, arising, passing, arising, passing. Here's what I mean. So right now, if you just close your eyes, already the biggest food for the mind, which is your sight, whatever you are seeing is usually what constantly is distracting the mind, and just more and more food for the mind to talk about, interpret, that judge. So the moment we close our eyes, eyesight is no more, right? The other senses are active, but here you're watching this video. You're probably sitting in whichever room. They're idle. Although they're active, they're sort of just in the background, not really registering too much content. So in a way, the 5 senses are at rest. You're not really tasting anything. You're not really feeling too much. Or even if you are, you're not really giving too much importance to it. Of course, you're hearing my words, and that can be, but just also don't give it too much significance. Don't be so interested in it. The words will still be registered, don't worry. The eyesight is no more, right? So the senses are idle. But of course, now you're maybe seeing some blackness, and you're seeing whatever you are visualizing or thinking about. The thinking, the talking. Now, for a moment, for just the next few moments, just lose interest in that. Don't care about your thinking. Just keep bringing your attention, let's say, to your breath. In this way, when the senses are shut off and the thinking is no more, all that remains in your direct experience are just a bunch of unnamed, undefined sensations. Before they are the sensations of your nose or your arms or your belly, right? Those are just mental distinctions, labels. In your direct experience, prior to all that conceptualization, which is what we are putting to rest the moment we stop thinking, all that remains in our direct experience is sensations, bare sensations. So one of the greatest things that we did on this meditation retreat for hours on end is learning to observe these sensations as they are. Not as we would like them to be, not as we hope they would be, not as they used to be, not what they will turn into, simply as they are. Because the Buddha taught that in order to grow in wisdom, in understanding, in order to become free from suffering, you must learn to see reality as it is. And reality, as it pertains to you here in this moment, regardless of what you have read or heard or learned about, reality as it pertains to you in your direct experience in this moment is these mere sensations. This is the manifestation of reality here and now. This is the truth for you here and now. Undistorted truth. The distorted truth is, again, you're thinking about these sensations. You're thinking about this and that. You're thinking about the constant information that is being taken in by the senses. But you see, here and now in this sort of guidance, when we block out the senses, or just the senses that are even active, we don't give too much importance to it. We're not trying to grasp it. It's just there. So the senses are drowned out. The thinking is drowned out. Then all that remains is mere sensations. Learn to see, learn to observe, learn to watch reality, sensations, as they are. The Buddha taught that when you begin to simply watch reality as it is, it will begin to show its true colors. It will begin to reveal its true nature. All your conceptual frameworks around reality will start to be seen as mental fabrications. All the mental structures on behalf of which you're suffering life, your mental structures within which lies ignorance, because it is merely conceptual. All of this starts to melt away. This is the whole purpose of Vipassana meditation, to see reality as it is. By learning to observe reality as it is, the mind is purified. The impurities in the mind become subtler and subtler and subtler and fade away more and more. And a mind that is more and more purified grows subtler and subtler in its frequency, in its capacity to comprehend, to understand. So practice this. See if you know what you can see what I'm guiding you into in your direct experience. See what remains when we take out the senses and the thinking. That right there is undistorted truth, undistorted reality. Learn to just observe it as it is. Awareness of sensation as it is. Doesn't matter what sensation, just awareness of sensation. And we begin to start waking up to how reality really is, rather than our conditioning, our ideas about what it is. By the way, if you're finding this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up. It allows YouTube to spread this video to more people. The next insight is piggybacking off of the last one. When you actually begin to observe these sensations as they are, you start to wake up to the fact of their impermanence, how they are constantly arising, passing. Even, let's say you do have your eyes closed, and at the center of your experience, you feel this sort of cohesive sensation, this solidified sensation, which we call my arm or my leg or my body. It seems like a whole formulated, solidified sensation, correct? So on this retreat in Vipassana meditation, you learn to observe different body parts one at a time. And what is interesting is that when you begin to learn to just observe these, let's say the sensation, and let's do it here and now actually. I would like you to focus on the sensations of your hands. Don't move on to your arms or anything else. Just for a moment, observe the sensations of your hands. Keep your eyes closed. Notice you have hands. You know this. You're not thinking about your hands. You just feel the hands. So just observe the sensations of your hands. Maybe you just have a vague sense of them being there. Maybe there's some pulsing. Maybe you feel what you may call, it's the energy of my hands. Notice that you can watch this without labels. You can observe without describing what you're watching. Just observe. You see, as you begin to observe, what starts off as very solidified, dense sensations, it slowly grows into more and more subtle, rapid, micro sensations. They only seem solidified in our day-to-day experience because the mind is dull. The mind is so dull that it is not aware of such subtle sensations. It is constantly stimulated by what is happening, by what the senses are registering, that it is totally asleep, unconscious to these subtle vibrations, these subtle sensations. So this gives a sense of continuity to the body. This gives a sense of permanence to the body. But it is very clear to us, right, that the body is constantly changing. If you look back at your life, you know the body has always been a changeful experience. Although, in your direct experience, we do not live this way. And of course, you're not being asked to do anything crazy, like totally denounce your body. No, that is not being proposed. But we are waking up to the fact of the body's impermanence. And it's not just impermanent like, oh, it changes after a few months or after a few days. It is changing at a moment-by-moment level. On the retreat, we learned that, one of the greatest contributions of the Buddha is making people aware of this in their direct experience, giving people a path to walk on, even the simplest minded people, to just learn to see in their direct experience the changefulness, to wake up to this truth of the changefulness of what they call me and mine. So when we learn to observe the sensations as they are, they go from being very seemingly solid sensations to mini micro sensations, arising, passing, moment by moment, faster than you can register, almost like a movie playing on the screen. There's no continuity. It's strung along by a story and a memory, but there's no continuity in the actual arising and passing of the images. It is simply one image after another. So when we learn to observe experience, when we learn to observe reality as it is, we start to wake up to this. We start to understand that no matter what arises, whether thought, feeling, action, circumstance, it will pass. And you start to acknowledge, what is the use of suffering something that will pass? Actually, in your mere observation, your judgmentless observation of that which is changeful, and acknowledging it to be so, the suffering starts to diminish. You start to notice that my suffering is only a byproduct of identification with the changeful phenomena, the impermanent phenomena, arising, passing. With this discovery, you need no longer suffer the contents of your experience, the phases of your life. You're being imbued with the wisdom to go through the ups and downs of phenomenal, circumstantial existence without suffering it, because you're seeing things as they are. And because you're seeing things as they are, it is diminishing your ignorance, your sense of ego. You're clinging and you're resisting to what is. And those are what the Buddha taught as the three universal truths. So we learned a lot about that on the retreat, and how observing your experience wakes you up to these three universal truths. Impermanence, right? Everything is changing, everything is transient, including what I consider myself to be. It itself is a changing experience moment by moment. There's no continuity to it. And number two, that there is suffering. Identification with this changeful phenomena causes suffering. It is not a pessimistic view on life. It is just things as they are. In order to really become free from that suffering, we must first acknowledge this fact. And the third universal truth is that in all of this changeful phenomena, there is no me, there's no mine, there's no I. I am none of this. I am not what appears and disappears. I am not anything within the realm of knowledge, anything that appears as an object, anything the senses can gather, anything the mind can think about, any sensation that I'm aware of. I am none of it. So with this, the habit pattern of the mind, which is constant craving and resistance, starts to melt away, starts to become weaker. It's real powerful stuff. And all from a simple practice of seeing things as they are. It purifies the mind. It is the birthplace of wisdom. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you'll know that this is what we talk about here as the practice of acceptance. Acceptance is not a mere mental statement, I accept this. No. Acceptance is seeing things as they are appearing, disappearing. So in essence, the same practice. Now, the fifth insight that I wish to share with you. Just a few minutes ago, we ran through a little guidance where I had you feel the sensations of your hands. I had you bring your attention to the sensations of your hands. And if you had your eyes closed, you may notice yourself, your mind creating an image of your hands. But notice how the image that your mind creates of the sensations of your hands is not the sensations of your hands in direct experience. I'll say that again. When you try to bring your attention to the sensations of your hands with your eyes closed, you may notice that the mind tries to create an image, a mental visual of your hands. But that mental visual is not the mere sensation that you're being asked to direct your attention to. So you see, the mind is always creating images, visuals about reality as it is. It is always conceptual. Yet this is where we are lost. We are constantly immersed in just the ideas of our mind about reality. We never experience reality as it is. This is why we are constantly in conflict. We're constantly suffering because we have a very distorted view of life. We have a very distorted lens through which we are looking at life. We see things to be red, but things aren't actually red. We're just wearing red goggles. So this practice, meditation, is all about learning to see things as they are. Notice how the moment the mind creates an image of the sensations of your hands, so that is secondary. The image is secondary, where the sensations are very actual. They're happening moment by moment. The moment they arise, the moment they subside. The moment they arise, the moment they subside. And of this, your mind creates an image. It creates an image of the arising and passing sensation. But by the time the mind has created an image of the sensation that you just felt, already that sensation has already passed. In this way, the mind can only think about the past. There is no such thing as thinking about the now. By the time mind thinks about the now, it is already the past. To be in the now, you can't think about the now. You can't think about the experience. You simply have to be awake to, aware of experience as it is. That is spontaneous. That is awakeness, aliveness. That is what you feel at the heart of your experience as being aware, being alive. That is true. Whereas, the images the mind keeps creating about it, they're false. They're distortion. They're conceptual. So meditation is the art of learning to step outside of your mental framework, your conceptual ideas, into reality as it is, which is why it frees you from dysfunction. Meditation does not make you gain anything. It helps you lose ignorance. And that is why it is so powerful. And the last insight that I wish to share with you is the restless mind. On a retreat like this, you'll be sitting for 10 days, right? And you have no responsibility. You don't even have to think about what I will eat later, right? Because the menu is decided. You have no part in it. You don't have to prepare your own food. The food is given to you at a particular time. You have no work other than the actual practice. There's nothing to worry about. Yet still, even when you're in the middle of the woods, you're in the midst of nature, everything is taken care of for you. And now you have 10 days in just an amazing environment, surrounded by people who understand your path and are there for you, are supporting you, are helping you. Yet still, you notice, even in the midst of that great experience, the mind is constantly thinking about the future, thinking about the past, craving something, resisting something, judging something, trying to escape, essentially, what is. Again, it keeps you in a conceptual reality through craving and resisting, which makes you somehow feel that what is not enough. The mind is, because of its impermanent nature, it is lackful. There's a stamp of lack in all these mental projections. And that is the current conditioning of the mind. It is the habit pattern of the mind. Constant craving, resistance, craving, resistance, craving, resistance. It registers all experience with craving, resistance. It registers all of the sensations that you feel in the framework of your body with craving, resistance. This is the habit pattern, which is where the Buddha taught to work on. This is the extent of our bondage, this cycle of craving, resistance, craving, resistance. In observing reality as it is, this habit pattern of the mind is purified. It starts to fade away. This is where you start to really recognize that the mind will never feel satisfied. Its craving will never really be fulfilled. You keep pacifying its craving with this object and that experience and this and that, and it satiates it for a little bit, satisfies it for a little bit. But how can you satisfy a mind which is not addicted to this object or that experience or this, but it's addicted to craving itself? The pattern is craving itself. That is what we have to look at. That is the Buddha's teaching. To not, it's not to renounce this or that, this object or that title. It's to renounce this craving itself by learning to look at it and acknowledge how it is causing all of the dysfunction. It is the root of your suffering. And he's given a beautiful path in order to do so. So I've learned a lot about the Buddha's teaching and its essence on this retreat. And I'm very, very grateful that I got to experience it, because before that, I have read some Buddhist books and everything, but I never really fully understood his teaching. It was never really given in a simple way. It always had all these things around it. So on the Vipassana retreat, they have really distilled his teaching in a very simple way. And they said that they have, kept this tradition of teaching Vipassana very pure since the very beginning. So it was lovely to see that. Overall, I had an amazing experience. I'm very fortunate to be able to go on a retreat like this, and I was very happy that I got to share it with my mom. She also gained a whole new understanding of my path and what has been unfolding for me for the past few years. So she really understood, because, on this retreat, what they teach you is very, very truthful. It's very aligned with also what we talk about here in every video. Even many things that I had personally never really read in books or heard in any other talks, yet those things that I was myself experiencing through my practice and sharing here on the channel, I got to hear about those things on the retreat, which was it was wonderful to see how people in different areas of the world, no matter what their race or religion or practice or occupation is, a person who is following the path, truly on the path, walking the path, will come along the same realizations, the same understanding, the same alignment with natural law as a person on a whole opposite side of the world with a different tradition, different culture, different teaching. As long as you are, right, the paths are many, but if you're walking the path, no matter what tradition, you're going to come along the same realizations and recognitions and discoveries, and it will give you the same benefit, the same freedom. So that was very, very beautiful to see. Just to give you a few details about the retreat itself, I live in Tampa, Florida, and I drove about 4.5 hours north into Jesup, Georgia. They have a center there. It was beautiful. It was in the middle of like a little forest. They had these walking trails created. They have the meditation hall, the residences. It was a beautiful environment, the ideal location for a retreat like this. They really took good care of us. The whole organization is run by volunteers. So with that though, the food was amazing. Everybody put a lot of love and care into taking care of the entire center. So that was amazing to see. If this is something that you are interested in doing, again, they have centers worldwide. You can go to this website right here, dhamma.org, and you can check in locations where is the nearest center near you, and see if you can schedule one. I would definitely recommend it. However, I do want you to balance your expectations of what a retreat can do for you. A retreat is not somewhere you go to in order to escape life. A retreat is not somewhere you go to in order to chase some sort of incredible experience that will liberate you. That is an immature perspective. A retreat will only help you if you are truly walking the path. A retreat will only help you if you are maintaining the practice before, during, and after the retreat. Don't just make a hobby out of going to retreats. You'll meet many people at retreats who are, they'll be like, oh, I've been to 20 of these or whatever. But the point is not to make a hobby out of retreats. The retreats are only there, and it's good to do every maybe couple of years, in order to just deeply focus on the practice for a few days, almost like living like a monk or a nun's life for a few days, and just focusing on your main goal, which is self-discovery. So again, just a disclaimer, of course, I would really recommend a retreat like this every once in a while. However, it has to be followed with practice. What you learn on the retreat has to be applied in your day-to-day life, especially when things are difficult. You can't just have these amazing inner discoveries and become free inwardly, but then the moment you encounter a challenge, once again you succumb to your lower nature. You have to, despite your previous conditioning, you have to step up to the plate with your new discoveries and play the part. You have to embody the teaching. Only then does it become more and more effortless for you. Only then does the path of wisdom, the doorway of wisdom, open itself wide for you to walk through it. Okay, so that would be my advice. If you're not able to go on a retreat like this, but you do want help with your meditation practice to dissolve mind identification and become free from suffering your experience, and really awakening you to your formless self prior to mind, prior to body, prior to self-image, then also learn more about my School of Awakening, which I'll link down below. We have an amazing program that helps people who can't just go away on these sorts of trips, or have no other external help. We really support them to go deeper into their meditation practice. It's an incredible journey that I've laid out. So if that's something that you need help with and you would like to work with me, definitely check that out. Other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.